Hey everybody, it's Candace. I'm going to be talking about how we're going to use the Kirkpatrick level in this class. In our professional careers, Eric and I have worked with a lot of librarians who are seeking ways to assess students' information literacy skills. One frequent frustration, though, has been the mismatch between what the librarians want to learn and what tool they're going to use to learn it. I really like how Dominique and Annie's article emphasizes matching the student learning outcome with the appropriate Kirkpatrick level, because I think it can cut short a lot of that frustration we see. So here is Dominique's version of the Kirkpatrick level and how it translates to our setting. I think the Kirkpatrick level is a really great way to organize how we think about the evaluation of instruction and to make sure that we are considering the value of instruction at all the different levels. So just to review, level 1 in the Kirkpatrick training level literature was reaction. Dominique says that we should ask ourselves how satisfied are learners with the lesson. Level 2 is about learning. Dominique says, what have our learners learned? That's pretty straightforward. Level 3, behavior. In Kirkpatrick, it was when people went back to their job, did they use it? In our setting, do the students actually apply what they learned in the session? And then level 4, results. In the Kirkpatrick model, it was about return on investment. Was it worth it to the company to pay for their employees to get trained? Did it pay off? Did they make more profits? And Dominique translates that to, are learners information literate as a result? It's much easier for us to do one-shot instruction assessment with level 1 and level 2 because they're in the room with us and we can do some kind of survey at the end. That's usually the easiest ones for us to do. Level 3 and level 4, Dominique makes a great case that we can't do that right there in the session. That has to happen sometime after a one-shot. Barbara Peterson did a really interesting presentation at Georgia Conference in Information Literacy back in 2009. She did a literature review, 2002 to 2009, and then grouped all the articles about instruction assessment as to whether they were measuring level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and you can see here that they were doing mostly level 1 and level 2, which makes sense because those are the ones that are easiest to do in our setting. I really like this re-envisioning of the Kirkpatrick levels as a chain versus a pyramid. I think the pyramid falsely puts too much emphasis on level 4 as the peak, as the goal, as this is the one that counts, when in fact every level is important and every level is connected to each other. So, for example, if your students have a very bad reaction to your session, then that's obviously going to impact their learning. And if they didn't learn anything in the session, obviously that would impact level 3, their behavior. I also like that they are links and that they're circular. I think that's better because I think the pyramid falsely does the emphasis on learning being linear, being very hierarchical, when in reality we know that learning is an iterative process and that someone might have a more positive reaction in retrospect about a session, which at the time they may think, oh, well, that wasn't really useful. And then when they're writing their paper, they go, oh my gosh, Eric was so right when he said that I needed to know how to use RefWorks. So they're all interconnected. So I like the chain, and I really like that it gives equal value to the different levels. Next week, we're going to be discussing how to assess level 1. We'll practice using authentic end-of-workshop survey data for that. Then in week 3, we're going to practice scoring student worksheets completed during a library workshop to see if the students understood and learned the concepts that we were trying to get across. And then in our final week together, we'll focus on using rubrics to see whether students actually applied what happened in the library instruction session. You'll notice that I have not included level 4 within any of those weeks, and that's because the Kirkpatrick level 4 is return on investment, and what does that mean in our environment? If we go with Dominique's idea that it was, what does it mean to be information literate? Well, how do we even say what that is? Is it that as seniors they can do more than as freshmen? Does it mean that after they leave the university they use research skills in their personal life or their professional life, kind of like what Project Information Literacy has been doing reports on? that's all really, that's kind of the holy grail. And I understand people wanting to be able to hitch their wagon to that star. But for a one-shot library instruction session or even a course, it's really kind of impossible to correlate that kind of change, that life change, to a single item or a single class. There's going to be so many intervening factors. So for that reason, we're not going to be tackling level 4. There are just too many factors, and we don't want to falsely advertise. That's one of Eric's and my pet peeves. Well, sometimes I'll read an article and I'll say, well, a student came to a session the freshman year, and then as a senior, they did this amazing thing. So obviously, the workshops were a success. That, right? We always want to be proud of our accomplishments, but we also want to be realistic. So next you will take a quiz or celebration of learning to confirm your comfort with the Kirkpatrick level, and then jump on the discussion board and tell me what you think about the Kirkpatrick level and what you think the strengths and challenges might be. I'll see you on Moodle.